Hello friends, this is Luke, the director of the yoga school, and I'm going to be talking with you about the first module. The first module is a little bit challenging intellectually, more so than physically. I advise you to make sure to maintain your personal practice during this time and be very open in your communication. Concerns or topics that may not make sense, it's kind of okay. We kind of want to get them started, plant the seed, and then move on through the rest of the training. Module 1 is a very intellectual, philosophical section of the training. We're going to start with the history of yoga. So there's a lot of misconceptions about where yoga came from, its age. It's actually much older than almost any religion on earth. We're going to talk about the Dravidian peoples, the people of ancient India. We're going to talk about the origin of Samkhya. The Samkhya philosophy, of course, is the foundation of yoga philosophy. It's also the basic philosophy that the Yoga Sutras is designed upon, the dualistic platform that yoga presumes for the universe. We're going to talk about Purusha and Prakriti, the two concepts of duality within yoga philosophy, and the three gunas, which are a part of Prakriti, of nature, if you will, Sattva, Tamas, and Rajas. We're going to look into the deities of Vishnu and Shiva. So we're going to look at Vishnu as a representation of Sattva guna, the centripetal tendency of the universe. We're going to use some readings from Elaine Danielou to flesh out the three gunas, what they represent, and how they apply to our yoga practice, to asana, to our bodies, to life, and the way that it changes. Shiva, Tamas guna, the centrifugal tendency, we'll look into that as well. Those two players are going to be big themes in the first module. During this time, again, I want to remind you to just keep doing your practice that you had coming in. You don't necessarily have to practice the types of asana that we're going to be doing in the training, but just one day at a time is the best way to go about this. We're going to introduce Sanskrit. We do have some basic chants. There's 5 in the training that we really go back to pretty much every day of the training. And we're going to start with just basic understanding of Sanskrit. Of course, we're going to be utilizing the American Sanskrit Institute's resources as well as the Yoga Sutra workbook. And so as we chant the Yoga Sutras and investigate a lot of these terms in yoga, we're going to look at Sanskrit as that very central pillar of how we're going to understand that. So Sanskrit's going to be very, very important. And we're not going to worry too much about Sanskrit at the beginning of the module, but towards the end we're going to be able to chant and then get into the Yoga Sutras. The Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita will be explored. The Yoga Sutras are going to be a core aspect throughout the training, particularly the first 2 chapters of the Yoga Sutras. Out of the 4 chapters that are there, the first 2 are going to be explored in this training. And so we'll get into that starting in Module 1. We'll talk about the meaning of Ashtanga. So as we go through the Yoga Sutras, we'll chant them a lot of times, chapter 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in order. But philosophically, we're going to look at some of the sutras in the middle part of chapter 2, which define what Ashtanga is. And so we're going to look into that. We're going to talk about parampara, or the lineage of teacher to student and succession, and some of the traditions that are in yoga and have always been in yoga. And then, of course, there's a wonderful exam towards the end. That's it for Module 1. There's some other things in there, but that's the basic framework. And so, hope that you enjoy it, and remember that you get out of this what you put into it. And especially with Module 1, it's a good time to take off strong and get some elevation and push into it a little bit in the beginning and gain some momentum. It's a lot of intellectual work there, so it should be a lot of fun.